you ladies end up out here anyway?
Well, officer, it's quite a story.
Yeah, the difference between the two is essentially this epic cut was the first cut that Rick, the director, my partner, and I did, and it has pretty much everything that was shot. It was probably missing 2 or 3 minutes of stuff that we don't need that, but essentially there are six complete scenes that are not in the theatrical run, and then a little bit more of expanded fight coverage, and almost every scene in the movie is a little, you know, we really felt that we needed to get the movie down to well under 2 hours in order to release theatrically, and a bunch of people had told us that, so we realized, okay, well, we'll just go ahead, and we had already completed all the flashback sequences that are all visual effects, and so we thought, this is our first, this is the cut that we actually screened for potential foreign sales agents as well, and so they saw this one, and they even said, yeah, you need to cut it down a little bit, but it's always the one that's near and dear to our heart because it has all the fun stuff, and and I think the creatively the differences are the shorter version, the theatrical version, is a tighter, more commercial version of the movie. This one actually explores the characters much more, and so we miss a lot of that when we watch the shorter version, but the shorter version is definitely more commercial. It moves faster. When we were at the Cannes Film Festival, we sold it to Spain in particular, and they've just been sitting on it. I don't exactly know what they're doing. I don't know whether I don't think it's that they don't believe in the film, because they keep talking about it, but I think from what I've heard, there's a lot of, Spain is one of the biggest piracy countries in the world, and so I think a lot of it was, they did it and they bought it, and then because they bought it over a year ago. Like I said, I think a lot of the piracy issues surrounding what was happening in Spain at the time got them very nervous and stuff too, so who knows. Both Rick Jacobson, my partner, and I come from sort of the low budget background, and Rick came up through the Roger Corman school, so he did several films for Roger Corman. And when I was still in college, I went to work for Paramount Pictures, and I was in their internal audit department. So I started as an accountant, then worked my way up to a production manager and producer. And one of the first films I did a TV series called Tales from the Dark Side, which was George Romero. I think it was 2 movies after that. I ended up on Puppet Master, and so I did probably 3 movies with Charlie Band, and in fact, his Rob Tappert's wife at the time was a lady named Jane Goh, and she was the controller for Charlie Band's movie company, and so she was the one that eventually, after I did 2 movies for Charlie Band, introduced me to Rob Tappert. Said, "Oh, you should check out this guy," and so that's how I got in with Rob and Sam. But Charlie was. Well, Charlie's still around and still doing stuff. Charlie taught me so much about, I don't want to say what not to do, but, I loved the fact, he was the first person that I ever understood that and it's sort of the way the main movie business runs now, but Charlie was one of the first people to actually say, oh no, you figure out the title of the movie, you figure out the poster of the movie, then you make the movie, as opposed to the other way around, which is the way I do. So that was one of the main things that Charlie taught me. And Charlie was always borrowing from one movie to pay for the other movie, and so especially Jane, was constantly in trouble because he would make 3 and 4 picture deals with distribution companies, and he would run out of money after the 3rd movie, and then try to figure out how to make a movie for no money. So one of the things he taught me is how you really can make a movie for no money. Sometimes it's not necessarily the best way to do it, but those are certainly the things. And he's a wonderful. Charlie's a wonderful, what we would say in the United States, a raconteur, a teller of tales, and he could sell ice to the Eskimos if he needed to. And if you look very closely at Bitch Slap, Rick and I have put an homage in there to Charlie Band and to Roger Corman. There's the scene where Camaro is on the motorcycle, and it's a very purple background, and she's trying to get the the Afro pick comb from Black Ice. Over her, so she's standing there now. She's sort of revving the engine. Over her shoulder, there's 2 street signs at the corner. It's the corner of Band Street and Corman Street. So it says Corman and Band, and that was Rick and I's little homage to that. The movie's filled with that kind of, you know, those kind of stupid little symbolic things. You know, there comes a time in the life cycle of a television show where you just feel like you're what's called beating a dead horse, or it means like, get up, horse, get up, you know. And you know, it starts, you know, making television shows, especially what we were doing was making action adventure television, 22 to 24 episodes a season. We would be working 45 to 48 weeks a year shooting, you know, or prepping, but it was, you know, constant. You know, when you start, it's all fresh and new, everybody's excited, and you know, people are making normal salaries and all that kind of stuff. And as you get, as the natural progression is, a show gets much more expensive to produce over the years, and it just starts getting harder and harder to, you know, for Lucy and Renee, it would be to put on the costume every day. You know, we loved making the show, loved it, and you know, both Hercules and Xena were, you know, one of the joys of my life to make. But eventually, everybody wants to go and do other projects, and the cost of the show starts to, you know, reach, you know, even on a hit show, starts to reach the sort of the projected amount of money that it can make, and so the studio starts going, well, you're going to have to start cutting budgets again, which makes it even harder. And you know, there's a term, you know, you want to sort of leave the audience wanting more. You know, a theatrical thing, and I think that's part of it too. You know, you want to not necessarily go out on top, but you don't want to fall back down to the bottom. We all have seen those shows that jump the shark, and you know, we didn't want to be one of those shows that on either Hercules or Xena that jumped the shark. So we sort of, when it felt right, we do it. The other thing is, in syndication in the United States, sort of 100 episodes is the magic number. So once you reach 100, then it's certainly in the 1990s, that meant that you could syndicate the show and play it 5 days a week on various things. And so you really need to get to 100. So I think we did 111 and 121 episodes, respectively. If it was a half-hour sitcom, let's say, those can tend to go much longer because you only really work 30 weeks a year, oftentimes, even if you're making 20 episodes for American television. And that's why I've always thought the British way of doing it, which is making 6 to 10 episodes a year and making them great, is really good, because it's really hard to, especially later in each season, really hard to keep, you know, you want to do the best shows you possibly can, but you know, the production is running so close to the actual shooting. By the end, you know, the last 6 or 7 episodes, you're writing them furiously almost at the same time you're shooting them, and it just becomes difficult. It's a good question. I couldn't answer for her for sure because I don't really know. But you know, Zoe has always had aspirations beyond stunt work. She's always wanted to, you know, be an actor as well. And I think that she probably felt that getting the opportunity to leave New Zealand and go work as an actor as well could have worked for her. You know, I was the first person. I sort of pushed her for a month to convince her to stunt coordinate, because she had never stunt coordinated before, because I knew she'd be great at it. And I also thought, how great to have a female stunt woman on this movie about, you know, this crazy exploitation movie about female empowerment. And I remember she read the script and called me and said, Eric Gruendemann, this movie is mental, which is a very Kiwi term for like absolutely insane. And I said, she goes, I'll do it. That's great. But I think because I wasn't in a lot of contact after I left Xena, I wasn't in a lot of contact with Zoe. I'd maybe, you know, speak to her every 6 months or something like that. And so I'm not exactly sure, but because it also may have been, she may have come here to audition and things, and then not necessarily found what she wanted, gone back, and then got the offer for Kill Bill, and then came back. You know, because she is truly a unique woman. She's really sweet, really smart, fearless. I mean, she's the perfect person. And you know, I'm sure if you've watched Kill Bill closely, you can see Zoe so clearly in the film, and such a big asset. And you know, it was so great when I heard she got that, because I knew it would be great for the world to see how wonderful she is. Yeah.